Oh, thank you for the follow. I can't pronounce that. All right, so last time we were covering adding items. Let's view model whenever we initially loaded the screen, so we'll have to fix that. No, it looks like we're duplicating records too. So let's fix that real quick. We'll go down to view models, campaigns, view models, and then we'll look at the load. We are clearing. So are we returning the same items twice? Let's set a breakpoint real quick. Probably want to add a pull to refresh in here. Okay, looks like we've got 3 items. Oh, it looks like we're doing the load twice, so let's get rid of that. We're already doing that inside of our extension class. If you recall, we added that last week to load the load command. Log in. So we're only calling that breakpoint once. Hello, computer. All right, so let's hop in here. All right, now we have only 3 items. Let's add an item. Choose an image. Checkerboard. Video game. That's not something we would actually do. And there we have our additional item. All right, so we got that working last week. So let's actually replace this with a backer. Something to actually write this to file. So we have our services here, our iData store model, and then we have our mock campaign. So let's create a non-mock class. So let's create what should we call this? Campaign data store. Campaign service. Let's just call it campaign service. Keep it simple. Public. Inherit from iData store. For campaign type. All right, so we got our using for that. Now we need to implement this. All right, so what do we want to use? There's some options out here. We can use Sqlite. Or we could possibly use Shiny. That is not, was that what I wanted? That is not what I was looking for. Shiny dot net. Okay. I don't know how I got to that other site. Shiny samples. Actually, for now, let's just go ahead and use Sqlite. Where's my cursor? There we go. So let's install a Nuget package. We're going to look for SQLite net PCL, apparently. Even though this is no longer PCL, and we don't really support PCLs. Okay, so we're going to close all but this. And we need a constructor, public class campaign service. Oh, not class, public, just public for the constructor. All right, and then we need a static SQLite async connection database. Make it private read-only. Database. If database is null, then we're going to assign it probably doesn't like us doing that. We'll take a look at it. Options, campaign options. So we're going to implement Microsoft extension options, and then we're going to need to create an options file or class. Right. We'll just use that for now. Options. Options dot question dot value question dot database path. We'll throw an exception if it's null. Name of campaign options dot database path. And then we'll need to use system for this. Okay. So if any of that is null, then it should throw an exception. And of course, it's going to complain. It doesn't like that being a read-only, so we're not going to make it read-only because we'd have to do that in a static constructor. So to add an item, we're going to do database dot table campaign dot insert. Oh wait, yeah, I've got a separate update. Okay, insert. Oh, item. Yeah, async. Oh, yeah, that's a method, not a property. And then add item async. Excuse me. It's insert async. Item. Should work. Does not contain a definition. Let's go to definition. Let's go to definition. Count first, order by, skip, take, then to an array where. Oh, duh. I don't need the table. That returns an end. Go to definition. I'm assuming that's how many records are inserted. So we're going to say greater than 0. Implement that real quick. Greater than 0. And then deleting an item. I usually prefer to do a soft delete, but in this case we're going to do a hard delete. Simply because, primary key table mapping, primary key. So let's provide that, because there's probably going to be more than one campaign with a string ID. Return, what does delete return? Delete returns event. Number of objects deleted. And make that async. Make it async. All right, and then get item return database first. Campaign first. Do we have a find on here? No. Find on here. Because that was pretty straightforward. Okay, so we want to get an enumerable. Database dot table campaign. So we're going to get the table. To list async. All right, so that's that. So we've got this implemented here. So we need to actually configure our options. So let's start out with a file name. We want to do campaign. Well, let's do campaigns. And we'll probably have to restructure this eventually to have multiple. What did I say that was? Database path. You'll probably have to redo this to support multiple object types. Let's change this. So we need, this is just the file name. We need a directory. So in order to get a directory, we want to get the base directory or base path, which unfortunately we have in the environment class, and we get folder path, and then we can use special folders. And then we're going to use local application data. So this will remain on the device. It's not shared across devices. We'll eventually talk about enabling a service for that later. And then we want to combine. So if you've used any kind of .NET, you probably have used this combine at some point, hopefully. That makes combining things a lot more predictable when it comes to paths. And we'll need system.io for that. So that'll give us a absolute directory to where we're going. Right, so that is that. So now we need to set this up. So we've got the configuration file. We've got the standard.net. So we want a service collection configure. Let me see if I can remember how to do this. .NET core configuration. Nope. You know, I do this hundreds of times for different applications, and I can never seem to remember what it is. All right, so campaign options. And then we do configuration. Oh, do we have the configuration? Yeah, we got the configuration right here. Dot get section. And what did I call it? Let's change this to configuration options. Name of campaign options. All right, so that should wire this. This should wire this up. And then when I pull this out of dependency injection, this should be populated from here, from our app settings.json. So now we need to tell it to use this campaign service instead of the mock service. So the great thing is I can use the mock service when I'm testing. And I don't have to worry about, and I can just change the configuration and pass it into the view model and then test the view model. We need to do unit testing, but we're not going to work on that tonight. So the other thing that we have to do is we actually have to initialize or create our database. And we don't want it in the constructor because that could take some time. Do we have an async class? No. So let's cheat. We're going to use a sample here. And we're going to look at data to do items. Static read only. Database. Return instance. How is this even used? Doesn't look like it's used to me. Okay, well, let's look at our view models. Do we have view models? Here's the async lazy. Okay, well that's not really going to work for us because we're using dependency injection, so we can't do an instance like that. So we could write a sort of our own lazy loader here. Private async initialize async. And then got a couple of things going on here. Private static is Boolean is initialized if not is initialized. We could probably lock this, but I'm not going to do that yet unless it becomes an issue. You could potentially have some conflicts going on, multiple things accessing, like say I'm trying to think of the term, race conditions, where we get into this block here before the first instance or thread sets this to false or true, then we could have some problems. So let's do that first. And then we want to actually create, go back to our to-do database. I guess we backed out of that, didn't we? So we want to create the table. So let's go ahead and do that. Need to await that. Now, as our database gets bigger and bigger, we probably want to have it in its own wrapper and then have campaign services access that. And then we'll have one place to initialize all the tables. I have the to-do item here. Models, to-do. So we want, another thing we need to do is we need to have a primary key on campaign. Should probably exit Rust. Steam, not Rust. We don't want an auto increment, but is there? We'll assign the ID when we create a new object. So all right, so when we initialize it, we check if it's initialized. If it's not, then we set to true, and then we create the table. Is there anything else we need to do? Nope. All right, so that's pretty much handled there. So let's throw this into, and I know this is just not the best way to do this, but we'll figure something else out later. And that'll initialize our table if we try to access it ever. Right, so let's try to run this. So if we're going to create a new item, it needs an ID, and we want our campaign service to handle that ID generation. It'd be interesting. I wonder if this will work. I guess we'll find out here in a little bit. All right. Let's get rid of that. So we shouldn't have any items here. Please add more. Okay. Forgotten Realms. D&D 5e. Save. There we go. All right, so let's close the application and run it and see if we actually saved it. The file. There we go. Looking good. All right, so now now we've got the ability to save to a file. Eventually, we're going to have implement an API so that we can actually like store this somewhere off the device. That way, you can share it across devices. And maybe require some kind of subscription for that. Why does this not go away? That annoys me. All right, so so what do we want to do? Let's see here. We talked about implement a slide open. I would like to eventually, well, we might want to have some kind of tutorial because that's not obvious. So that is our open. We want to delete. So let's add a delete option. Excuse me. Trying to remember where everything is. All right, so here's our swipe items. So we're going to add a swipe item text equals delete. Icon image source. We'll probably have to add this. Okay, we don't have one. So let's pop over here to our themes, or styles rather, and let's add an icon. Eventually there'll be so many of these I will want to put this in alphabetical order, but I'm not doing that quite yet. So delete, call that delete, and then we're going to find something in here. Trash can, trash. Let's try trash. And then come back over here. We'll call this trash. No, delete. And then there we go. I'll have to rerun it. All right, so is there a way to make that vertical? Swipe. Bottom items. Like orientation? No. Let's look at the documentation. Xamarin Forms, swipe view. Okay, that's pretty straightforward. Swipe direction, swipe threshold, swipe mode, which indicates the effect of the swipe interaction. This should be set to one of the following. Reveal indicates reveals the swipe. Execute indicates that a swipe executes the swipe items. No, that's not really useful for what we want to do, because we could have it one direction you delete, one direction you open or select. We could potentially write our own. I'm not quite there yet. Let's just leave it this way for now. If I get picky later, I might have it the orientation swap to vertical by implementing my own. So let me look at the custom one. Custom swipe items. there's definitely a click on that. I wonder if it will interfere with the click. That's way too big. Can I change the background color on these? Let's see. Okay. Alert color. I like that. I like this better. I need to make these line up though. And it's the same size. I'll have to play with that later. I set the size. What kind of options do we have? Background colors, command property, image source. Oh, that's interesting. It's visible parent. I like playing with this a little too much. All right. So we've got those. Now we need to actually have them do something. So let's add a command. Binding. So we have to somehow bind this to the page view model. So let's look. Xamarin forms bind to parent. That would affect everything. I don't want to do that. I know it's the source. We need to use the source. Source reference. Ancestor type. Okay. Relative source. So bind, well, let's create a command for that. So let's create public async command delete campaign command. We might want a confirmation on this, but for right now, we're not going to do that. Public async task. This can be private. Private as well. Task delete command campaign async. But let's have this provide a command parameter, and that's going to be our key. And then we're going to await. We're going to do command await command campaign store delete item, and then we're going to do id to string. See if that works. We still need to come through here and figure out how we want to do messages. I want something to like a snack bar or a snack alert. I think it's called a snack bar in Android. So let's do delete campaign command equals new async command delete campaign async. Okay. That looks good. That looks good. Okay. So this looks good. Now we need to make this work. So binding is delete campaign command. Relative source, ancestor type, X type. Do we have user references? So we need XML view models. Campaigns dot view models dot campaigns. All right, so that'll get us to our campaign view models. Where are we at? Not very pretty, but should work. Command parameter, and then we combine that to our ID, and let's throw in a debug statement or a breakpoint. And make sure that works correctly. Okay, we probably need to remove the item from, well, we're not breaking. Private set. Oh, that's not an error. That's I haven't compiled it since. Why is this not working? Data, it's not inside the data template, so the binding context should be the campaign. That should work. Ancestor type. This might be a little simpler. Let's try this one more time. If it doesn't work, then we'll go with the reference, X reference. I have to put a name inside. Yeah, you do. No? Yeah, you have to name the page. Not a fan of that. Stack flow, everybody. Okay. All right. Let's remove this. Come up here and name the page. Campaigns view. Is that going to be a problem? Can't. I don't think you can have a name. Let's just call it campaigns. No. Yeah. No. Now let's try it. Binding context dot delete campaign reference. Oh, source. X reference. Let's see if this works. Yeah. All right, there we go. So we got it working that way. Might have to do with the X, but that's fine. We don't want to have to go search through the ancestors. Well, let's see what we have here. We have ID. Did that work? What does our locals say? Okay, well, you just have to see if proof's in the pudding, right? Reload the screen. Okay, I deleted it. So we do have a problem with it not removing it. We can do campaigns dot remove campaign or remove at. Let's see, what does this remove? No, that's the same one. Index. So can we do first? C.id equals ID. And let's using link. Because this is an observable collection and when we remove something, it should just happen. It would be nice to do some animation. We can do that later when we do some fluff and rework of the app. We're going to go ahead and add some campaigns once we get this loaded. All right, so pick a picture. Save. Got a campaign, take a picture. Snap. Crackle. Pop. All right, so now we have 3 campaigns. Let's delete the second one and get rid of this breakpoint. All right, it removed it. Let's remove this one. All right, that's pretty sweet. Okay, so now we have it removing campaigns. Why don't we see about adding? Not adding, opening. So we want to do something where we have populate this text box or the template. So how do we go about that? So let's take a look at apps shell. Okay, so the setup. Let's look at start. Let's look at app. App does app shell service provider. And then app shell has, so we have these two campaign routes. Let's, don't need these anymore. So it's defaulting the login. Where is that? That's the file header. This is the menu log out. Login page right here. Okay, so this is the default. We want to replace this with a loading screen. Okay. And then can we call navigate here? Current dot go to campaigns async campaigns. Don't try this at home, kids. I'm ignoring the await. No, I can't do that. So current hasn't been set yet. Thank you, neighbors, for driving by my house really loudly. Appreciate that. So on start, can we do that here at app shell.current? Go to async. Make this async. Campaigns. Oh, wait. So in this on start, we're going to have some logic here to figure out where we last left off, what campaign we were actively using, and so on and so forth. And there we go. So we need to get rid of the about. So what if the back button? Still got it back to the login. I didn't like when I did this before using the global navigation. Let's see what it does this time. Definitely need a loading screen. There we go. No global routes currently cannot be the only page on the stack. So absolute routing to global is not supported. For now, just navigate to campaigns. But I don't want to back. Oh, this isn't ideal, but here we go. Navigation page has back button false. We'll have to come up with a better solution, a more permanent solution for this eventually. And it has a back button. Okay. I'm going to talk to you about this. All right. So clean that up. All right, so we're gonna have to put some logic in here in here to determine if we've already selected a campaign. So we'll need to use a setting. We're gonna look at Xamarin Essentials. Settings. This doesn't have to be secure. There's nothing private about it. So let's look at preferences. We should already be using so we need to result permissions. Result on permissions. We're already doing that. Yes. Okay, so that's already set up. We don't have to do permissions, whatever. We initializing? Yes, we're initializing essentials. Okay, so we've already got the Xamarin Essentials platform initialization for Android and the on request. That's all we need for this. We've already got Essentials installed that comes with the Xamarin Forms. So let's look at preferences. We want get Xamarin Essentials selected campaign ID. Default is false. No. GUID? Can we do that? Or is that going to throw a fit? Probably do GUID. No, I'm sorry, that is the default value. We have to do a string. So selected campaign ID. If string is null or white space, then selected. Then we'll open the campaigns page. If not, we'll need to populate this. How do we access? Is this bindable? Binding app shell. All right, well, I have to take a break. I will be back momentarily. Stick around for more. we're back. So let's see what we can do here. App shell provider. So we get the service provider. So we can take the service provider, get service. So let's create a view model for this. View models, add class app shell view model. Let's inherit from base view model. And then, let's see here. Binding context. So it does have a binding context. Service provider dot get service app shell view model. And then we need to make sure that that is in the setup. So we're going to have to map that. Excuse me. Did we do? We had singleton for that. Might want to move that out later. What does add view model do exactly? So that does scan. Cancel, cancel, cancel. Let's just do add transient. Oh, what M are we doing? The transient lifetime. Okay. App shell view model. So that should work. What did we have? We don't want to pull up the XD because that causes issues. So what do we have in the menu? Turn off our phone notifications. Or put it on vibrate. So that's really not helpful. Xamarin Forms menu item. Let's look at app shell real quick. What are we doing for menu items? So fly out item. Menu item. Yep. Fly out item tab tab tab. Okay. That's the template. I don't really care about the template. Well, let's look at the header template first, since all right, so let's close all but this, all tabs but this, and then we'll reopen App Shell. Don't need all this stuff here. Eventually, I want to move that to styles. So this is okay. So we wanted to display the details. Let's call this. Oh, we've already got that. Campaigns. Very nice. Why are we using that? Oh, okay. So that's where we're using that. So let's get that. Comment this out for now. We'll make sure it works before I delete it. Campaigns. Summary view. What is okay, so that we'll have to bind each thing individually instead of having a campaign, which I guess is fine. Title, binding campaign title, subtitle, binding subtitle, campaign subtitle, and then image URL. Nope. What do we call it? Is editable? Source, image source. So source binding campaign image is editable. False. Now then let's set those items up in our view model. So we need our backer field, private. Set property campaign title value subtitle. And then let's just set this as a string. Campaign image. Campaign image. So, do we have, did they ever fix this on appearing and all that? Let's set a default. Public app shell view model. Campaign title equals create campaign or select campaign subtitle. Choose your game type. And then campaign image. Let's just find a quick image. Dungeons and Dragons. Images. Oh, this is a cool one. Keep in mind I can't use this live because it's probably copyrighted. Right. Let's see if this works. Nice. Very nice. Okay. So we want that to actually do something. Let's get rid of this. And let's create a gesture. Campaign summary dot gesture recognizers. So we want to do tap recognizer, and we want to do command binding tapped campaign summary command. Right. So let's add a new command, public async command. Private async task tapped campaign summary. And then shell.current. Go to async campaigns, and then we'll do the global navigation. And then we'll set that up. Tapped command summary equals new async command, provide the method, and bam. So let's see if this works. Now normally you want to do this with a button because of accessibility things. Did this not work? Of course it didn't work. Oh, wait, that's not the problem, but interesting. Global routes currently. All right, well, we'll have to figure out that issue. And current nothing on the stack. So that seems to work. It's annoying if you click that it doesn't go away. But if I click that, it does. So what is the logout set to? Let's see here. The logout is a menu item. On menu item clicked. It's maybe because it's global? Let's start and stop it again. Kind of curious why this works, the login page works, but the other one doesn't. Nope. I'll have to figure that out. Oh well. So what else do we have on this menu? Where is our menu? There it is. So let's actually work on the About page. So we want to implement the footer. Is that already here? Optional template. I don't see it. No, okay, I don't see the footer, so we'll go ahead and add it here. Shell, fly out, footer template. Okay. And it is a data template for whatever reason. So we want an image button. Source, static resource, and then let's pop over here to our styles and add an info or about key. Info, exclamation, circle. About, text, was image button just an image? Yeah, it's just an image. So let's take a look at the documentation. Image button. Setting the image source. Handling clicks. Disabling it using command Press and release the image button. Appearance, visual state. So is there a different type of button? Button. Do I have two buttons? How do I have an image and a button? Using bitmaps defines an image source to display. Okay. So why does button have an image source? And text. Command. Let's see here. Tapped about command. Oh, helps if I find it. I'll learn to spell one of these days. What is, do I have an about page already? I do have an about page. Do I have that wired up here? About page. Let's just do this for now. About page. Nope, I forgot to actually assign the command. Tapped. There we go. There is our button with our text. It's not doing anything. Well, let's actually do this the right way then if it's not going to work the way I want. Let's create the routing. Routing.register route about service provider. Get required service mapped route factory views campaign. Oh, this isn't that. So let's. Do we have an about new model? Yeah, we already have an about new model. Okay, that's interesting. About page, and that. So that sets up the routing, and then we need to go to our setup and map it, or configure it. No, map it. So service collection, add view models dot about view model, and then add views dot about page, comma, view models dot about view model. So that wires those two up together. Stop. And then we need to go to our app shell and tell it to go to about. Okay, so I've done something wrong here. Did I miss a step in our setup? Oh, yeah, I gotta add the transient service collection, add transient mapped route factory, use campaign, oops. Yep, there we go. Really need to look at that factory bits. For iLogger and see how that's set up. Awesome. All right, so I really don't want. Why does it not let me do the global route? That's really frustrating. I don't know why it does that. Global routes. Let's dig into this actually, because we need to fix this. Okay, I know that this works. I know that's not what I want to do though. don't want to have to overwrite the whole navigations stack. This is ridiculous because I should be able to global anything I want to. Can navigate performed by specifying a valid absolute URL with go to async. This example navigates the page monkey's route, with the route being defined in shell content object. The shell content object represents monkeys. Blah 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 blah. All right, relative route the hierarchy was searched for the specified route downwards from the current position, matching research from the specified upwards from the current position. Yeah, I haven't even gotten the parameters passing yet. Excuse me. Oh, that seems like a bad idea. Navigate deferral. Oh, that'd be an interesting way to do it. Confirmation. Pass data. Yeah, I know how to do that. Processing using query. Using a single data method. Passing and processing. Okay. Back button behavior. So if I want to get back, icon override, I can get rid of the, or I can change the icon. That's fine. I don't. Okay, I might have to do some digging into other people's examples. Let's try this. Out from the current position. About. Where's that breakpoint? I know what's happening. Okay, so didn't like that. What if we tried the back and about? This doesn't work if it's multiple deep. But let's at least try it from the root. Well, it didn't puke on me. But it doesn't work. Okay. Backwards navigation. Combined with a route. Specific place. Cannot be the only page in navigation stack, therefore the absolute routing global is unsupported. On remove page, get navigation stack. Ooh, so I can make my own tab? That's scary. Shell defines navigating event. On navigating. All right, so let's take a look at shell. So it looks like we're going to override this on navigating. Nope, override. On navigating. Arguments dot current source. That's the source, that's the target. That's the URI. What is the source? What is the source? Is that an enum? Push pop, pop to root. How do we get a pop to root? Okay. So let's take a look at. Ooh, okay. So if I wanted to get my own, I don't want flyout items. I don't want a tab bar yet. Where is login? That is login. Tab bar. I do shell content here. So what happens if I do shell content route equal, well, root campaigns for now. Let me just copy this. I wonder if this is case sensitive. URLs aren't supposed to be, but and then we'll get rid of it here. What does that do? So that is our root. So app shell this dot children. So what does that get added to? Is that a child? Go to definition. I don't. Oh, I'm gonna go to the definition of shell, not app shell. I don't care about the properties. Scroll mode. Flyout content. Shell current. Excuse me. Okay, so items. Items is what we're looking for. Can I bind items? This is probably gonna get me in a lot of trouble. Items. How would I bind that if I can't set it here? Okay. Item template, current page. Oh, that's dangerous. Current page. Tab bar. Title view. All right, I think I'm gonna do some digging, and we'll continue this tomorrow and see where we can get to, and clean up where we start and how we move around. I think that's a lot more important than anything else that we've got going on. Make sure you join us tomorrow at 8 p.m. Central, and we'll get this done. Have a working app at least to be able to navigate. That's kind of an important thing before we can start working on these other items. I'm hoping that in this month, this next month, we can get the image chooser down. That would be really great. And get our character sheets working so we can actually have characters. So let's see here. What do we need for characters? Character detail. We got an add button. Okay. So yeah, you go look at the campaign details, and we'll have a journal for the character. What? Character details. Edit. This is an initiative tracker. Okay. So that'll probably have to be part of the header as well. All right. Well, we will continue this tomorrow, and make sure you like, subscribe, follow, all those good things. Follow us on Twitter, and to find out when our next stream is, which is at 8 tomorrow. And then Friday we'll be playing Space Engineers. Y'all have a good evening. We'll see you later. Goodbye.